Broadcasting live from Eric's Meathies the Slumbering Isle until it wakes up. This is Tap Tap Concede. Graham here.
Ben here.
And Kathleen here.
And today we're going to be talking about Commander 18. And we're very excited about that. Ben's
so
particularly excited about Eric's Meathies.
Commander is my format. I love Commander.
I love it so much. And before that, we will do a crack pack. And before that, we will remind you.
Well, mangle our words.
Let me try that again. We will remind you that Tap Tap Concede is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. That lets them know that we sent you, and we do that because we love them. We use them ourselves. They have excellent customer service. They'll draw you a little token, really fast shipping. And if you let them know Loading Ready Run sent me, button please, they'll give you a little button with a funny phrase on it. The current one, at time of recording, they just started into Top Deck Lethal. So hopefully those will still be there.
On the button, it just says clap, 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 clap.
Yeah.
Which is also good.
It gets the point across, yeah. And
Cardkingdom.com, a kingdom of cards.
A kingdom of cards, that's not our actual slogan, Card Kingdom 2018.
It's .com.
And also, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. All right, who wants to roll the big dice? The big die.
Seems like you were about to do it.
I was. What you got? What you got?
Two.
Hey, it's Shards of Alara.
Oh. This was just rotating out when I started playing Magic.
This was given to us by Andrew and Megan Berg at GP Seattle.
Oh, nice.
Who went to GP Seattle?
It was James.
James.
Yeah.
James went to GP Seattle. I knew that.
Made a whole vloggy vlog about it.
So
Right.
Alara was multicolored.
Yeah.
So
From what I understood, it was a tough format to draft.
I was going to say, I've not drafted Alara, but I've not met a lot of people who look back on it and they're like, ah, yes, Alara, right?
This was, I've seen a lot of people that think that Alara was sweet to draft.
Yeah, it was sweet, but it wasn't like, yes, when you could do these crazy decks. It was like, what do I have? Did I pick up the fixing? Like,
Well,
because I
Jund was
remember
very good.
the border posts were like very important.
Yeah. This is not, I believe it was Alara Reborn. This is not the set where every card was a gold card.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, it's the shards. It's all about the Shards of Alara. All right, you want to get swole? You want to get yoked? It's time for the Yoked Plow Beast.
Damn.
Yeah, 5 white for a 5/5 beast with cycling. That's it. It's a 5/5 for 7 with cycling 2.
This is a card I'd be
Cycling.
fine to last pick.
I like
Yeah.
cycling. Yeah, I would probably run it. Well, so 5 power. I want to say the Naya mechanic was. You remember Ferocious from Khans of Tarkir,
Yeah.
where it's like where it cared about creatures with
Right.
power 4 or greater.
Yeah.
That was a much better version of this.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is why it's a big,
Yeah.
expensive dude.
Wasn't, what's her name? Maya from Naya?
Maya from Naya.
She was-
Mael of the Animus?
Maya, yeah.
Mael of the
yeah,
Animus,
that was
yeah.
her whole thing, like creatures with power 5 or higher or whatever.
I think it was Naya. Was it Naya or Bant? I think it was Naya.
I think she was Naya.
Yeah, I think it was Naya.
I like that oxes are a creature type in Magic.
Yeah.
A fairly common creature type, and so it's just like, oh yeah, I have a plow beast. Oh really? You got an ox? Not quite.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, an ox is usually like a 2/4. You can't have a 5/5 ox.
Well, this thing looks like it was designed for plowing because its horns are right down there in the dirt,
Yeah.
like helping irrigate.
Although I like it say the flavor text. Just
It is sacrilege to confine a gargantuan to the grinding of straight lines. I will pray that it remembers who is the master of this land.
Oh.
Saina, elvish god toucher.
Saina, definitely a member of PETA.
Next up, this is horrific art. Bane Wasp Affliction. One. Yeah.
Wow!
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah. 1 and a
Good
black
job, Dave Alsop.
for a creature enchantment. When an enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, that creature's controller loses life equal to its toughness.
That's wretched.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Awful. That's like...
It's like giant wasp-headed, like millipede maggots just devouring a guy.
Yeah, this is a weird card, though, too. Like, it doesn't remove anything.
Yeah.
It just kind of, like, instills the fear into your opponent. Like, don't
Yeah.
attack, I might have something.
But I mean, like getting life from your opponent maybe on layaway,
Yeah,
that sucks.
yeah. Yeah, this is not a great card.
Ugh.
This card's pretty cool, though. Deft Duelist.
Whoa.
Oh, she looks so cool.
A blue and white, so 2 mana, blue and white, for a 2/1 with first strike and Shroud.
I love Shroud.
Shroud is like fair
It's like my best
hexproof.
friend.
Fair hex? It's not. I mean, I guess. I
Yeah,
guess it's
mean-
more fair. So yeah, like you can't load up your Deft Duelist with equipment or auras or something because no one can target it.
Yeah, you
Shroud
can't
is
boggle it.
yeah. If you're not familiar with Shroud, it's like hexproof, but you can't do anything either. It's just it can't be the target of anything.
Yeah.
So this will never be anything other than a 2/1 unless you get like an Anthem or something.
It does balance the like, you know, because there's the thing with Shroud or Hexproof where it's just like, well, now I can't do anything against it, and then you have your giant Hexproof guy that's just bashing in and you're stuck.
Yeah.
At least Shroud kind of balanced that a little bit in the sense that you couldn't make it huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're a lot less worried about blocking this with a 3/3 if
You can't
if
call
it has
that
Shroud.
wicked
Yeah.
and-
And just like, stop dodging everything, Duelist. Some things are good.
That was my Battle Bond pre-release experience.
What, being just like destroyed by like a huge hexproof?
It was Primal Huntsbeast with Unflinching Courage attached to it.
Barf.
But tish.
Wow. Next is Court Archers, 2 and a green for a 1/3 with Reach. That's actually
fun.
pretty good as
I like
it is.
that.
And then it also has Exalted, which
That's
is
so good.
yeah, the Exalted mechanic is really cool. So Exalted says, whenever a creature you control attacks alone,
That Exalted was the banned mechanic in this set.
Yeah. So, whenever a creature, doesn't have to be this creature, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So the way that works is, if this is your only creature and it attacks, then it attacks as a 2/4. If you have this creature and another creature with Exalted, and a third creature, say a 2/2, and that creature does not have Exalted, but it attacks by itself,
It becomes
a 4/4 because it every instance of Exalted among your other permanents adds +1/+1 to any creature that attacks by itself. So
It's really
yeah.
strong.
In fact, I think there was a spell that gave.
There's a commander that gives all your permanents Exalted.
It was Sublime Archangel from one of the core sets gave everything Exalted.
yeah.
The commander is, I think it's Rafik.
Yes.
Oh, Rafik of the Many. Right. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, the Sublime Archangel it has Exalted, and other creatures you control have Exalted. And yeah, if a creature has it even says it, if a creature has multiple instances of Exalted, each triggers separately.
So if you just have a Sublime Archangel and one other creature,
and the Court Archers.
well, let's say you have a 1/1 for
okay.
sake of. So if you have a Sublime Archangel and a 1/1, and you plow in with the 1/1, it's a 3/3.
Yup.
I like it thinking sometime, yeah, there's Rafik. Yeah, and he's been banned.
Right. Rafik has Exalted, and the creature
Oh.
also gets double strike. Rafik kills people a lot.
Rafik is a very popular commander for very obvious reasons.
Yeah. Next up, wow, Shadow Feed.
Whoa!
Single black mana instant. Exile target card from a graveyard. You gain 3 life.
This is relevant, right? Because wasn't Grixis's whole thing Unearth
Yep.
in this? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Grixis mechanic, which black was a Grixis color, but anyway, yeah.
I mean,
the Grixis
yeah.
mechanic was Unearth, which is kind of like Flashback, but creatures.
Yeah.
Just put like a Merciful Fate logo on that, and you got an album cover. Merciful Fate is my go-to like
Metal
band for. I feel like their kind of metal lends itself.
Ooh, I love this card.
Wow, they picked it up even from, I was holding it up here and it got it. Rip Clan Crasher, red, green for a 2/2 with haste. 2 mana, 2/2 haste in Gruul colors.
Wow, that looks like a Boris Vallejo painting.
Yeah, pretty sweet, Justin. The artist's name is Justin Sweet, for anyone who's only listening. Next up, I want to see, will it pick it up? Wow, well, Lush Growth, single green mana, land enchantment. Enchanted land is a mountain, forest, and plains.
I bet that was a super good like 6th or 7th pick in draft.
For fixing, yeah.
Maybe even higher. I honestly don't know how highly you picked fixing in this format.
Well, I would certainly be.
Surge is out of town, and I'm getting his mush mouth for doing Magic podcasts now.
Yeah, that just seems like such a good pickup.
What about?
It's the like, good news! Your amazing fancy land just got such lush growth on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about a little mana rock? The Obelisk of Bant.
I believe the obelisks were extremely high picks in this format.
3 mana artifact, the Obelisk of Bant, taps for green, white, or blue. There was an obelisk in all 5 shards. They tapped for the thing that was in the shards. The shards, by the way, if you look at the back of a Magic card, the shards are the 3 colors that are beside one another. So that's Bant, and then that's Grixis and this Jund. And anyway.
And then aren't
Esper.
wedges?
Oh wait, here we go.
opposite, like,
I actually have a reminder card that talks about Bant. In the Golden Utopia of Bant, war is a grand ceremony. Heroes win the sigils of their supporters, emblems of advocacy imbued with might, then stride into battle as the sole champions of their cause. Keyword, Exalted. Exalted focuses on the strength of your army in a single heroic creature. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, each creature you control with the Exalted ability gives that attacker +1/+1 till end of turn. If 2 creatures attack, then one of them leaves combat. The remaining creature won't get the bonus. Neat.
I believe the obelisks were like the premier fixing in this format because they would ramp you, and there's lots of like expensive stuff. And the thing is, like, even if you're in Naya, an obelisk of Bant is a perfectly good pickup because you might not use the blue, but you're going to use the white.
I don't know about I don't know if I go as far as premier fixing because I don't actually know.
I thought they were like.
Well, because there were the panoramas, which were
Oh,
colorless.
the panoramas.
Well, so hang on, I'm not even done yet. So there's which were colorless lands that you could then sacrifice for a basic of that shard.
Yeah.
And then there were just tri-lands, but I don't know if the tri-lands were in this set or in the next set, or in the other set.
I thought the tri-lands were in the next set.
I don't know.
Well.
So yeah, Bant panorama for
maybe
example.
we'll find out if we dig deeper.
Yeah. I mean, one of us could look it up on our phone, but.
Next up, Branching Bolt. I love Branching Bolt. 1 red-green for an instant. Choose one or both. It deals 3 damage to target creature with flying and/or 3 damage to target creature without flying.
Oh,
Jundling Helix.
Yes.
what a good card.
Deal 3 damage and gain 3, dealing 3 damage to another thing.
Yeah.
It's great. Incurable Ogre. What? It's a
He's so sick.
3 and a red for a 5/1 Ogre mutant. And that's it.
Don't pick.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
Like, I already don't like 3/1s.
Oh.
Huh.
And, like, a 3/1 for, like, 2 is I'm like, okay, I'm fine
is
with
just-
playing this, but not excited. But 4 for a 5/1 that's going to die immediately.
This
to a
is
chumper?
worse than a Cobble Brute.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
awful. It's terrible. It's got no evasion. Like, you
old-
just snap block this with, like, your worst creature, and you're like, and you spent 4 mana on this.
That's rough.
Bad.
Grixis Charm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The charms.
Oh.
3 mana. Blue, black, red. Instant. Choose one. The 3 modes are return target permanent to its owner's hand. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn.
Oh.
Or creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Wow.
I
Wow.
love the charms because they embody like each of the colors that are within
Yeah.
the shard.
What
so
a-
it's like,
What a Swiss Army knife of a card.
yeah. Well, the
like-
charms were so great. Like, I mean, my frame of reference for the triple color is I came in fully during cons,
Right.
and like
So
For
then
the-
they had the you
the
could just
wedges.
charm and stuff like that. They were great.
Abzan charm was nuts. It was the one you put in everything.
Yep.
So-
Sorry, by the way, the triple lands were indeed in shards.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay. There you go.
Well, then
So,
that
yeah.
was the premiere.
Yeah, the uncommon. Yeah, they come into play tapped, but they tap for each color.
That
of
was the premiere fixing that you would snap up them. So I'm wrong. I don't
Alright.
know why I'm trying to weigh in with any sort of authority. I barely played this format. Let me just shut up.
No, the obelisks were not. They were relevant.
So I think-
Any fixing in
Yeah.
a triple colored thing is always good.
I feel like Grixis Storm is definitely the first pick though right now.
Maybe depends if in what pack you're in, right?
Yeah.
Well,
like if this is
just
pack
go
one,
for
pick
it.
one. I don't know how hard you gotta plant your flag like that.
Rock Slide Elemental is next. It's 2 and a red for a 1/1, which is not amazing. It has first strike. Okay. Whenever another creature is put into a graveyard, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Rock Slide Elemental. So it just gets bigger and bigger as things die.
This seems good.
That seems good.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
actually,
like
things are gonna die. You just gotta make sure it's not the Rock Slide Elemental.
Well, I mean, you block the incurable ogre with the rock slide elemental, and then it's 2/2 first strike.
Then they shouldn't have attacked. That was a bad attack on their
Yeah.
part.
I think it seems like a really good card because this is either going into Jund or into Grixis, right? Or I guess it could go into Naya. Specifically in Jund and Grixis, things are going to die a lot, even if they're just your own creatures in Grixis.
Yeah.
So this thing could probably get out of control.
It's weird from a flavor perspective. It's like a weird vampire elemental.
Esper's whole thing was colored artifacts, and here we have a Sphinx's Herald. The Herald was also a cycle as well. So this is a 1-mana, 1/1 for a single blue artifact creature. So it's a blue artifact creature, Vidalcan Wizard. For 2 and a blue and tap, and sacrifice a white creature, a blue creature, and a black creature.
Okay, so that's kind of a big ask, but keep going.
Search your library for a card named Sphinx Sovereign and put it into play.
Oh, this
then
is
shuffle
just a
your
draft
library.
F.
So this could be the blue creature,
True.
but you also need a white creature and a black creature, and you get a specific card that you might not even have. Because in draft, again, we're talking about draft.
So let's see if it's worth it.
Yeah, what's Sphinx Sovereign do? It's a mythic.
This thing is... Yeah.
Sphinx Sovereign is 4 white, blue, black. 8 mana total. For a 6/6 artifact creature Sphinx with flying. At the end of your turn, you gain 3 life if Sphinx Sovereign is untapped. Otherwise, each opponent loses 3 life. Wow. Also, you don't have to cast it if you sack all those creatures. It just goes into play.
Yeah. I feel like if you open a Sphinx Sovereign, you just wait for a Sphinx's Herald to table.
If you open a Sovereign, you're taking the Sovereign anyway, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess I'm Esper now. And then if you see a Sphinx's Herald, then
you wait
hooray?
for it to pick it up 14th pick.
Yeah, you wheel it. Yeah, exactly. But are you ready for our rare?
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
I peeked.
Oh, what is it?
It's a big. It's
It's a big burly boy?
It's a big burly boy. It's a big fuzzy boy. It's Ajani Vengeant.
Oh, all right. Well, there's our first pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 red, white for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. It's Ajani. Very good planeswalker. +1, target permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Yes, permanent, that includes lands. -2, Ajani Vengeant deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 3 life. It's just Lightning Helix. And -7, destroy all lands target player controls.
That's miserable.
So
I
Ajani
don't think
Vengeant.
they give them ultimates like that anymore.
Well, I mean, there are some pretty backbreaking ones that still happen.
The emblems are a sort of a different tactic.
Yeah, like so Ajani continues to be one of the most powerful planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Like to this day.
Cube staple Ajani Vengeant.
But they still do certain things like that, right? Like, I mean, you think about like just printed new Nicol Bolas, who his ultimate is you get rid of every card but 1 in somebody's library.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right. So they still have like ultimates that just
basically
end
win
game.
Yeah.
But Ajani Vengeant is a little bit of a bigger deal though because like
It's a little easier to get to that.
to get to that. Yeah, absolutely, right? Because with the new Nicol Bolas, you have to play it as a creature, then flip it, then
Yeah.
tick it up. But I think you only have to tick them up like twice before you can ultimate
It
him.
gets pretty
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but I mean, like, I feel like this sets the template for what people want from a planeswalker. Protects itself
Yeah.
in 1 or 2 ways, right? Like, so the tick up protects itself because, like, there's a lot of planeswalkers that people are like, I mean, this is fine, but like, it doesn't.
It dies.
It like you +1 and it has no effect on the board, and so you've put all this mana into something that's now got a giant target on its back.
Also, 4 mana is cheap.
Yeah, 4 mana is really cheap.
Yeah. If you get this out on turn 4, like you could probably even afford to Lightning Helix something and be
Yeah.
fine with it. But it's really interesting that you say that, and this is like I don't know if we're done with this spec, but it's a
Yes.
great
Perfect.
segue.
Yeah, I was hoping.
because we open Planeswalker and we're talking about the commanders
Yeah.
for these. They're all Planeswalkers.
Yes.
And something that's really, really interesting, and again, I'm really glad you said it. These Planeswalkers don't really protect themselves
No.
when they come out, which is very interesting, but I think works in Commander.
Well, yeah, because they're designed explicitly for the Commander product.
Yeah.
So, let's just talk about the Commanders for the four decks. I go through them in any particular order,
Well,
whatever you decide, Paul.
Aminatou is the first one.
I guess,
A
yeah.
small child.
Aminatou the Fate Shifter is 3 mana, specifically white, blue, black, for a 3 loyalty planeswalker.
I feel like this is the most powerful planeswalker, like lore-wise.
Oh,
But
Oh,
nobody-
lore-wise, yes,
But
But
absolutely.
nobody will fight her because it's like, I'm going to go get her. And it's just like, okay, well, I changed fate, so we're always standing on the opposite side of the street.
This is the there is no spoon kid of the
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
MTG
So-
universe.
Also, notably, all the Planeswalker commanders from Commander 18, much like from a couple years ago, they have one line of text that just says this can be your commander, because Planeswalkers being commanders is not an explicit rule that commander wide. Anyway, so
Not any planeswalker could be your commander.
3 mana, 3 loyalty, +1, draw a card. Then put a card from your hand on top of your library. -1, exile another.
So basically top.
Kind of like
let me
restricted brainstorm.
Let me finish reading the card.
No.
+1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. -1, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. -6, choose left or right.
This is so weird.
Each player gains control of all non-land permanents, other than Aminatou, the Fate Shifter, controlled by the next player in the chosen direction.
It's so weird.
So, the +1.
Change places.
The +1, I guess, is more like
It's like a single brainstorm.
Yeah.
Like a tiny babby brainstorm.
It's a what would you call that? Like a there's a term for that when you just have like a
Brain squall.
no, it's like
in like an
Brain
actual
fart.
magic term.
not a brain fart. No, not a magic term, but like a real term for like I just had
An epiphany.
epiphany's too big.
I have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking about.
No.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember words.
We'll come back to it.
Anyway, it's neat. -1, you get to you get to blink. You get to blink permanent.
Which is great.
Anything other than Aminatou, which I assume has ways to abuse that within the deck, but I don't know.
Problem. It
So
does.
another target permanent. Oh yeah.
It just whoop,
Yeah.
whoop.
Yeah.
Then
So if somebody puts removal, like some sort of aura on your creature that you don't like, that you can get rid of it. You can reuse ETB effects. You trigger stuff like what was the mechanic where it's just revolt? We're like, there's a variety of ways to use that.
so then the -6.
Yeah, that's weird.
Say I have Aminatou, and
We're playing a game of Commander.
all 3 of us are playing a game. I pop
Yeah.
that off. Everyone keeps their lands,
Yeah.
and I keep Aminatou. And everything else, I say, right, I give all my other permanents to Ben. Ben gives all of his to Kathleen, and Kathleen gives all of hers to me. That's weird.
Except land.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't necessarily even have the land to activate whatever your permanents are doing.
No.
Well, yeah. If they have mana activated abilities, yeah. It's
I mean, we could have like, was it Felwar Stone?
Yeah, unless you have
Oh,
like
yeah.
mana rocks or something.
Yeah, or like exotic
Passive.
orchard.
Yeah, because they changed for a while there. There was a rule in Commander that, for example, if I did have Aminatou as my commander, if I did have a way that generated, for example, red mana, then it would generate as colorless mana. They didn't let you even generate mana that was outside of your commander's color identity, and they've since changed that so that now I could, for whatever reason, generate red mana. I guess they figured that in instances like that, when you did end up with someone else's stuff, it was actually just negative. It was a net loss to fun if you couldn't actually activate it.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if they've changed some of the rules. Like there was one that was like if you had, say, let's jump Panorama, in, right, and you were just playing like green, red, like you were just playing Gruul, that you couldn't put that in there because it like says you can go fetch for like a swamp or whatever. But then like they changed it because they were like, well, we want to be able to put fetches and stuff like that in it, and it really just came down. I think it eventually just came down to the point of being like, does it have that colored mana symbol?
Yeah.
No, then do whatever you want. If you want to play an all black deck that says go grab a plains, whatever.
Yeah.
Live your life, man.
Because you mentioned most powerful in the lore. Planeswalker. My favorite bit about that with Aminatou is typically a Planeswalker's spark ignites through some sort of heavily emotional, turbulent time, often anger or despair, because those are very strong emotions, and there's a lot of Planeswalkers with tragic backstories of like a thing happened and they were mad or angry or sad or distraught, and then Planeswalker. Aminatou can see all of time, and so looked into the future and saw, oh, at some point, I guess I'm a Planeswalker, and at some point my spark will ignite. Well, now that I know that, I'll just ignite now. Cool, now I'm a Planeswalker. It's just sort of like...
Why wait?
Yeah, it's like, oh, Neat.
Yeah,
Oh.
we need to go find her to stop Bolus.
Yeah.
Yeah, except, like, would she? She'd be like, no.
She'd be like this, yeah, omnipotent, like, everything comes in cycles and we don't have to worry.
But she's
Nicol
also-
Bolus may fall or he may succeed.
I don't know that
But
she's
she's
like
also,
that.
like, 8, so she's probably like, eh.
I don't know her personality. Yeah. But yeah, she seems cool.
And so what is this deck? What is the Esper deck?
It's kind of a miracle-y, Fate Sealy kind of deck with ETB triggers. So, for example, Aminatou does have a couple miracles in hers.
Oh, yeah.
It has Entreat the Dead,
Entreat the dead.
which is super cool.
It's like Entreat the angels, but they're dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And basically, it's XX black for a sorcery. Return X target creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. But if you miracle it, which is you may cast this card for its miracle cost if you draw it as the first card you drew this turn, it takes one of those X's off and you can just dump all that mana into that one. What is really sweet about this is the fact that
Darn, I drew Entreat the Dead
Oh,
some
whoops,
other time.
yeah.
What am I going to do?
yeah, you
Suddenly, the +1 makes sense.
Yeah, you can. This deck does have like a lot of really big, scary ETB creatures, a lot of demons and stuff in it. I believe Sower of Discord is in this deck,
Oh, okay. I remember Sower of
which
Discord.
is a. I think it's a newer card. It's got like life link, but not the life link that we actually call life link. It's 4 black for a 6/6 flying demon. As it enters the battlefield, choose 2 players.
Okay.
Whenever damage is dealt to one of the players, the other chosen player also loses that much life. And that's why people are calling it life link in heavy quotation. Because their life is linked.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, this is not the card I thought it was. This is really cool, though.
Yeah, it's this really neat
Sower
new
of
effect.
Discord.
It's rude.
Like
Yeah.
you even need that in a commander game.
Someone to sow discord.
Well,
Yeah.
it just makes the whole like, I need to kill everybody in one turn, or else I'm going to get serious backlash. A little simpler to work out.
Yeah, because then you have your sow of discord. You can blink it. And...
I think it's in this one. It's either that or it's in the Gen 1, but it's a sweet card. Unfortunately, it doesn't. I don't actually.
The list you're looking at is arranging by color, not deck.
Yeah.
That's very silly.
It's very silly. But either way, it's. I imagine this seems like a card that would be.
So Aminatou's deck is about manipulating the top card of the library.
Yes, that's that was like the official sort of like when Wizards spoiled before they actually spoiled any of the cards. They were like, these are what the 4 decks are going to be about. This one was supposed to be like a miracle-y deck manipulation.
Cool.
Deck.
Ties into the theme of fate.
Yeah.
Fate manipulation.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to go into the next
Yeah,
one?
let's talk about.
The 4 types, or
Well, let's go to the next commander, whomever that may be. I don't really mind. But
I have deck lists
actually, how about
here.
we talk about Lord Windgrace? Actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
Lord Windgrace.
this-
He's classic. Dominarian.
This is the touchy deck.
Yeah, so
that
that's,
I wanna
that's
definitely
because
talk about.
because you talked about how Wizards spoiled the themes of the decks, and then the deck lists later. So let me just tell you about Lord Windgrace first, and then we'll get into that. So Lord Windgrace, legendary planeswalker, Windgrace. He was one of the Titans.
He was one of the 9 Titans who survived the final attack on the Phyrexians in the original Dominaria storyline, which I know this because we did a whole episode of Friday Nights where Prof came in and was basically Q.
Yeah.
But
It
for,
really
for
was.
Magic trivia. So yeah.
So 2 black, red, green for a legendary planeswalker. 5 loyalty, 5 mana, 5 loyalty, always nice. +2, discard a card, then draw a card. It's Rummage. If a land card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. Holy moly, that's so good. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. What? That's even better. -11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior tokens with Forest Walk, and Lord Windgrace can be your commander. Wow.
Okay.
So the +2, the Rummage, the land, that's really, really good.
Yes.
then, especially with messing around with lands as this deck is wont to do, getting lands back from your graveyard to the battlefield is super cool. The -11 is like odd, but sure. Like you destroying the 6 non-land permanents the rest of the table has is very strong. 6/2/2 cats is like okay. It has forest.
That's the deck list for the
thank
Lord
you.
Windgrace.
Forest Walk is a weird thing, but sure, why not?
So like the other decks, I mean, I don't want to spoil it because we're going through them each in order, but oh no, I guess one is banned. Never mind. Okay, because I was gonna say, I'm like, do any of the other decks even play forests? Like in a vacuum, does this like
Right.
affect anything that's in there? And I guess yeah, it does. I was gonna say because the Forest Walk does not matter against 2 of the other decks.
So,
but still,
let's talk about this deck. So, what Wizard said about this deck was that it was lands matter. And the thing is, we've now discovered that the term lands matter means very different things to different people. And a bunch of people who thought that it meant one thing were very mad when they found out that it actually meant a different thing. I think that's a fairly neutral categorization of what happened.
That is the Weasel Words explanation of what happened.
Yes, yes.
a lot of people thought that this was going to be a Crucible of Worlds like style strip mine, like
Life from the Loam.
Life from the Loam dredgy sort of lands deck. And
Yeah.
what this actually ended up being is you play, holy crap, there's a lot of lands up in here. And it does have land recursion.
Yeah, like Lord Windgrace himself actually does a lot of stuff like that. But there's a lot of cards in the deck, like our spoiler card, for example, Crash of Rhino Beetles, that are just sort of like,
Do you have a lot of
do you
land?
have a lot of land? And, you know, the argument, I guess, that people are making, which I don't think is unfair necessarily, is that could maybe be better categorized as a ramp deck. But this isn't actually a
ramp
it's
deck?
not actually a ramp deck.
It's not ramping.
No.
Really? Well, I mean, I'm sure there are ramp cards because we're in green.
Yeah, but like ramp is a different kind of thing. And so the deck,
The deck does care about land.
yeah, it is lands matter, just not in the way that a bunch of people were hoping for. And I understand their disappointment. I don't think, again, I'm not like, look at these idiots. I don't think the people who are mad about that are wrong, but you don't have to be quite so mad.
And there's a lot of really cool like things that sort of like work with that, right? So like an example of a card also that does 2 things with it is Turn Timber Sower.
Okay.
So
A different sower.
yeah, so this is 2 and a green
Okay.
for a 3/3
Right.
elf druid. Whenever 1 or more lands are put into the graveyard from anywhere, create a 0/1 green plant creature token.
Okay.
You can, for green, you can sack 3 creatures and return target land from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh, that's neat.
Right? So it still does do the land recursion, Life from the Loamy style stuff. It's just not the entire focus of the deck.
Oh my God, he's a tree planter.
Yeah, it literally is.
No, he's literally, it's the Eldrazi lattice.
Oh yeah.
On Zendikar, the flavor text, Zendikar's wounds can be healed. He's literally going around planting trees in the Eldrazi raised forests.
Huh.
That's so cool.
That is really
Yeah.
cool.
Tree planting sucks.
Yeah, you have to get those young elf teenagers out doing something, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, it has like a lot of the it does do that whole graveyard landy recursion thing. It does that. It does what it probably will have a little bit of ramp. It has I care about X amount of lands. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this deck has Scoop Mob or something like that.
It does have
in
Scoop
it.
Mob.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So
I
like
love Scoop Mob.
yeah, the little bugs that become lots of bugs.
Yeah.
I would say that very technically, lands matter in this deck.
Yeah.
But like, previously lands matter has been like, people think, I'm gonna, the things
Well,
that
it's not
that,
what
that
Surge
listed
was
are
hoping
even
for,
just
right?
like that's because the Surge has a lands matter Highlander deck
Yeah.
that's like basically all the
It's
stuff that you mentioned.
the lands deck.
Yeah, bug
which
lands
is
is
like
what he calls it.
fast bond and like fast bond Crucible, getting people on like strip mine lock and stuff like that.
get
So I
rock
guess a lands deck is different from a lands matter deck.
Yeah, but like the thing is,
Yeah.
but over the years, Wizards has said lands matter to mean various things. Like Remember,
Everyone
like,
has said. That's what I'm
original
saying. That's the
Zendikar
problem, right? That's the
was a
problem. is that-
lands matter set, and it was all
Yeah.
about landfall, like just playing lands, right? So,
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Like, I mean, any of these things could have, like, any of the terms that they use so far could have meant anything, right? Because they, with the last deck we talked about with Aminatou, they were like, it's going to be a deck manipulation thing, and everybody was like, oh, well, that's going to be the Miracles deck, and it's not, but it has like flicker and it has other kinds of things going on with it. So they put, I think, a general term for a thing that could happen, and it could have been any sort of number of things, and it was up to the people to decide what they wanted it to be rather than like what it actually was going to be. So I think they covered everything in that sort of way.
yeah. Well, and also we have to remember that these are like Wizards pre-con products, and like while the lands matter kind of like strip mine lock kind of thing is very powerful, it's not very interactive, and that's probably not the kind of product that Wizards is going to put out for somebody who's like, I don't really play Commander, but this looks cool. It's got a cat.
I feel like
Right?
they're not going to put out the pre-con that enables you to like terminus everything every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not going to be fun for anybody. So like they have to add like a level. They don't want to entice everybody to put out. They're not going to put out a deck that allows you to strip lock somebody, you know, which is what like a bug land style deck would do.
Yeah.
You know, like Surge's whole thing for Highlander is to like put out Titania and a Zurin orb, sack his entire land base, and make like 15 like 5/3s, you know, and like and that's like fair and fine Magic. But on the other hand, you know, having Crucible Worlds and stuff like that, and like creatures that enable you to play more than one land at a turn and go strip mine, replay strip mine, replay strip mine. It's just like that's not fun interactive Magic kind of a thing. So
This guy's pretty fun, eh?
yes, the Centaur Vine Crasher.
It's a 4 mana, 3 and a green, 1/1 with trample. Plant Centaur. Centaur Vine Crasher enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards.
That's very powerful in
Yes.
Commander because many people are sacking many lands.
And whenever a land card is put into a graveyard from anywhere, you may pay green, and if you do, you bounce it to your hand. Sorry, from your graveyard to your hand.
Wow.
So this is a reprint.
Is it really?
Yeah, so this was in the Clan Marin Toth deck, the Golgari graveyard.
Previous commander.
Yeah.
Okay,
Reprint.
but this works so well with this because it's you can cast it and it'll be a certain size, and then maybe it'll die, and then later you can regrow it and then cast it again, and it'll presumably be even bigger than it was the first time.
Yeah, no, it's sweet. I put this card in the Sidisi deck when we did the Blind Commander one.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah,
What a
this
good
card's
pick.
super real.
Before we move on to the next deck and commander, I want to talk quickly about, because they do like to do this where typically there will be the sort of the canon commander for the deck, and there'll be other creatures in the deck that could also be commanders if you want. And I'd like to talk about, I want to say Gyrus.
Gyrus?
It's a Jund Hydra.
Oh, yeah, this
Really
thing.
cool.
Yeah. This is a weird effect.
Gyrus. And so it's X
you got it.
and Jund. So X, black, red, green for a 0/0 Hydra. It's Gyrus, Waker of Corpses.
Oh, that's so metal.
Yeah, super metal. So enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. Not X, the amount of mana spent to cast it. So if you cast this for 4, you could cast it for
So
3
X
actually.
plus 3.
Yeah, you could cast this for just for Jund. You could cast it for black, red, green, and it's a 3/3.
Yeah, because
That's
I know what
really
you were
good.
all thinking. You're all thinking, yeah, I mean, every time you have to recast your commander, then you pay 2 more, so this is going to get really expensive and not that good. No, they thought of that.
Yeah, that's a really good design.
And then the second ability, whenever Gyrus attacks,
Oh, it's got more.
yeah, you may exile target creature with lesser power from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that is a copy of that token that is tapped and attacking. Exile the token at the end of combat.
Wow.
Can you
So-
imagine bringing in suddenly your crash of Rhino Beetles?
It's so big.
Yeah.
Dang.
Because it would count the 5 from it, not the 15/15 that it could potentially be coming in.
Speaking of metal, the artist name
Oh,
is
that's true. Yeah, that's nasty.
Slavomir Maniac. Wow.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Everything about this is metal. Anyway. Next commander.
I mean,
Why don't we do Saheeli
okay.
for her deck Exquisite Adventures?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the most powerful, in my opinion,
Yeah.
of the commanders.
I mean, we mentioned that these don't like sort of check the commander boxes. They don't protect themselves when they come down, but Saheeli does.
Yes.
But the point with the commanders that can be planeswalkers, you can just recast them when they get removed.
Yeah.
Whereas in like a regular game of Magic, once they're gone, they're kind of gone.
So this is
Kind of.
Saheeli the Gifted. 2 blue-red for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +1, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. +1, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 colorless less to cast for each artifact you control as you cast it.
The nut.
And -7, for each artifact you control, create a token that is a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile the tokens at the beginning of the next end step. And Saheeli the Gifted can be your commander. Brief aside, Shivam, who you might remember from the Kaladesh sort of lore episodes, the sort of the real world origins of the sort of the Kaladesh thing, did a whole write-up on the art. This art has a lot of really specific stuff going on. He was really thrilled with it. Apparently, Ryan Pancoast really did his homework.
Oh.
And you can check that out on linked from Shivam's Magic-specific Twitter account, which is Girapuri Gears, I believe is the correct, or maybe that's his Tumblr. I'll look it up while we talk
And we'll
about
put
how
it in
cool.
we'll put it in the reference.
I'll talk about how great Saheeli is, or I'll look it up while we talk about how great Saheeli
It'll be in
is.
the description for the podcast and in the YouTube description.
Cool.
So, her first ability is neat. Sure, you get a servo artifact token. Her second ability is
Bonkers.
ridiculous. Do you want your soul ring to suddenly be a Thran Dynamo? Boom. There you go.
Okay.
Like, she has the ability, and I don't think they've got it in here, and this obviously is me living magical Christmas land with adjusting precons and stuff like that. You could enter the omniscience or enter the infinite or whatever on like turn 4 if you want, or turn 3 even. Like, it's nutty. You could do
You have to get
so
her out
much with it.
first.
You do have to get her out, but I mean, like, it'd be super easy because you just like, mountain, soul ring, island, Saheeli, and then next turn 3, go off like big time with like a whole bunch of artifacts and stuff like that. Because you could play a bunch of like Cheerio creatures. You could like go off with a whole bunch of things. It's magical Christmas land with Saheeli. She's this.
Plus, that's still a plus ability.
Yes, yeah, and it's still a plus ability. So she is very good.
It only makes me sad that you can't somehow combine her second and third ability together.
Yeah, to like make a
Double all your artifacts and then also get a really cheap spell.
Yeah, no. And what's really cool is this deck has a lot of focus on what is Saheeli's sort of deal, which is she was all about like cloning, I guess, or copying
Yeah, so
artifacts and stuff like that.
The card Saheeli's Artistry, for example, is in this deck, which is sweet. I remember it being bonkers in Kaladesh Limited because you get to make a copy of Saheeli's Artistry, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, you basically get to make 2 things because it's, if I recall correctly, you make a copy of, choose one or both. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, and create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's also an artifact. So if they have an artifact creature, you can also just copy 2 creatures because you can be like, that one's my artifact and that one's my creature.
You ever copy like a Gear Hulk?
Yes.
That
That
was a good feeling.
But yeah, by the way, this is OG Saheeli.
Yeah, Saheeli Rai.
And her whole thing, again, like her -2 ability was the whole copy mechanic, and a lot of the other cards.
Jeez, Saheeli, come up with your own stuff.
A lot of the cards in here are all about like copying and doing that kind of thing. So like they have another legendary creature, which is 2 legendary creatures that fit in that build. The first is Brutaclad, the Telcor Engineer.
Yep.
So this is a card that is 4 Izzet. and then it's a 4/4 for a legendary artifact creature.
So
artificer.
that's 6 mana?
Yeah, 6
Okay,
mana.
Cool.
Creature tokens you control have haste.
Ooh, uh-huh.
Yeah, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token.
Wow.
So at the very least, you could make, like, if you have crappier, like if you have some of the Saheeli's 1/1 servos, you can make them 2/1 mirrors instead.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and like I said, this whole deck is about taking a creature and making a copy of it. That's a token.
Is Wormcoil Engine
Yeah.
in this deck?
I don't see it. But
There's
I mean,
definitely some
Probably
ridiculous,
too good.
like, ultimate Saheeli, double all your tokens, then change all your tokens into something terrible.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a super cool kind of idea. And then the other legendary dude that's similar to this is Tawnos, Urza's Apprentice, which is a blue and a red for a 1/3 legendary creature, human artificer, who also has haste.
Tawnos,
Yeah.
as in the candelabra of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so for blue and a red and tap, you can copy targeted, activated, or triggered ability you control from an artifact source and choose a new target for the copy. The copy is a reoccurring word that you're going to see in this whole thing.
So that sounds complicated, and it is a little complicated, but it's very powerful.
Wormcoil is not in this deck, but you know what is in this deck?
What?
Scuttling Doom Engine.
Oh, baby!
Remember Scuttling Doom Engine?
Yes.
That
Well,
card's
just because
great.
Wormcoil turns into the worm and the coil at the end, so they're tokens.
Yeah.
So that's basically what that means is you with Brutaclad, you could turn your entire attacking force into Scuttling Doom engines, which is hella.
And
Wait, what?
Yeah. So what you do is you
Well, Doom Engine's not a token.
no, but there are there are a bunch of cards in this deck which enable you to create a copy.
so you make a token copy of Scuttling Doom Engine, and then you turn all your servos into Scuttling Doom Engine tokens.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I see. Brief aside, actually, flavor aside about Brutaclad, the Telcure engineer. Do you know where Brutaclad comes from?
Is that
I
new
would
Phyrexia?
I would assume it's Phyrexia.
No, sorry, I mean the origins of that being a character.
No,
No.
I don't.
So this was because this was a story Kelly Diggs was telling on his Twitter account about.
But he is like a Phyrexian.
Yeah, so Gavin Verhey was like, "Hey, what do you want to see? What's the thing that we could do?" And Kelly was like, "Brutaclad," because Paul, if you can pull up the card Sarcomite Mirror from Future Sight. Yeah, from Future Sight, because it's got the crazy Future Sight
Art?
border. Sarcomite Mirror.
Right, it's the one that looks really creepy.
Yeah, so
this
the
thing.
flavor text, a horrible sight, yes, but the sounds, its twanging tendons and grinding gears are almost musical, attributed to Brutaclad Telcor Engineer.
Huh.
This was in 2007. And so they were like, hey, let's make that guy. Because that's all they did. There's flavor text, it says Brutaclad, and they're like, okay, but who is that? And so they were like, oh, you know what we could do? We could make that. We could give that person a card. So that's the origins of
one.
Brutaclad.
That's
It's
one
kind of-
and that's a 2/1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes 2/1 mirrors.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Oh, those are nice touches.
Yeah.
What's kind of interesting looking at Brutaclad's card art as well, he's got that Ethereum arm kind of thing going on that is known for, like, that's an Esper thing, right? Like the Ethereum? Yeah. So that's interesting, because obviously it seems like he's some sort of like Phyrexian Mirrodin kind of card, but like,
Yeah.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with Esper as well. Because when I look at that and I think of, what's her name? Not Bruna, the 4-color commander from way back when, who like came in with Thopters and could do like a number of things with those Thopters.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, Tezzeret is the other guy who's got the Ethereum arm, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's all manner of cool things. But like I was saying, there's a whole bunch of copy target artifact and make like tokens and stuff of it. Do we want to talk about like the cycle? I guess because this directly relates to that. So of the Commander Storm cards.
Oh, yeah.
Or do we want to wait till after?
Let's
this-
talk about the
We
last
should talk about the last
commander.
deck
Okay,
first,
because this relates to the the copy, take an artifact and make a copy token.
Yeah,
But let's talk
because
about
we're coming up on the hour rapidly.
Holy
so
moly.
we should talk about the last commander.
There's so much sweet stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know who the last commander is.
It's the Bant.
Estrid.
Yeah, Estrid.
Estrid the Masked.
Oh, right, yeah.
1 green, white, blue, so 4 mana for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. +2, untap each enchanted permanent you control. -1, create a white aura enchantment token named Mask attached to another target permanent. The token has enchanted permanent and token armor. So it's
Or totem armor.
Sorry, totem armor. So it's a token enchantment. That's weird. That's, I think, new.
Yeah.
-7, put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard, return all non-aura enchantments from your graveyard to the battlefield, then do the same for auras. Estrid can be your commander.
So basically, +2, untap your dudes, great.
If they're enchanted, yeah.
Yeah, but -1, your dude is now enchanted, and removal will fizzle the first time because totem armor, if it has not been printed, I think anytime recently, but it was just like, it was from like original Zendikar totem armor, right?
Yes, it was Rise of Eldrazi.
Rise of Eldrazi. It was from that block, but yeah, it was basically like target creature gets like some small upgrade, but it's also totem armor. So if the creature would die, destroy this instead.
Yeah. They reprinted the Bumbra.
Yes.
Bear
The Bear Umbra was totem
Umbra.
armor.
Which is like inexplicably like what, $10 or $15?
Something like that, yeah.
For the last episode of the Commander, because you were doing the Bear Force 1, I was trying to figure out where I could put the Bear Umbra, the Bumbra joke in, and it was just like, there's no room for it, which was just...
Yeah, Friday Night's Graham is definitely running Bear Umbra in that Bear Force
Yeah.
deck.
I
So-
just couldn't figure out a way to put it in without like another page of dialogue.
There is some really key stuff that's very cool about the design of Estrid. The first thing being her +2 ability. It's not just untapping dudes that are enchanted, right? Because there are so many things like land enchantments and stuff like that in this deck that will enable you to, generate mana and
You
stuff.
know, like Gift of Paradise?
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
that's in this
an
deck,
enchantment.
but you can untap that land and tap it for 2 more mana.
Yeah.
Woo, Spring Break.
Where our cards go.
The only thing that could be a little weird, I don't know if this deck does. I should really look at the list, but like, I think there might be a couple like pacifism effects in here that might make it a little bit of a non-vote, but it doesn't really matter if it's like pacifism because they can't attack or block anyway. Because it's each, or is it you control?
It's not an enchanted permanent you control.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So never mind then. That's fine. But the cool thing about her ultimate ability is the way that it's layered in that you return all non-aura,
Yeah.
which there are actually a bunch of enchantment creatures in
Yeah.
this. So you can bring them back in, like Boon Satyr, for example.
Or Eidolon of Blossoms.
Or Eidolon of Blossoms. And then you get to bring all the aura ones and slap the enchantments on the enchantment creatures that you're bringing back. So it's just really cool how they layered it like that.
It's very
Actually,
good.
hitting Eidolon of Blossoms with that ultimate would be ridiculous because you draw so many cards.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of this is an Enchantress deck. It's all about
I guess I should explain. Eidolon of Blossoms is a 2/2 for 2 green enchantment creature, and it has Constellation, which is basically sort of, it's like landfall for enchantments. And whenever Eidolon of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. So if you get Eidolon of Blossoms back, and then you bring back a bunch of auras, and you get to draw a bunch of cards. And we should absolutely talk about Kestia.
I think this is the deck that I'm actually most interested in playing, honestly.
Yep, me too.
Kestia the Cultivator, 1 green, white, blue for a 4/4 legendary enchantment creature nymph. She's got Bestow, if you recall. You can cast her as an aura for 3 green, white, blue, so a little more expensive. Enchanted creature gets +4/+4, and whenever an enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control attacks, draw a card. That's just a static ability. That's not, it doesn't matter if she's bestowed or in play or whatever. And it's not about her. It's whenever any creature you control that either is an enchantment or has an enchantment attacks, you draw a card.
Yeah.
I want to draw cards. I want to draw cards.
I like that she has like 3 overlapping special borders. She's got like the
The-
gold border, the legendary border, and the sparkly border.
Yeah, for instance, yeah. You and I were talking about this. I get so excited whenever they do any sort of like, hey, remember how great Theros and Journey to Nyx was?
Yeah.
And they like put out like a card in either like a master set or a new card.
I love Theros.
It was such a good play, but
This guy's kind of fun too.
yes, yes.
Estrid gets an invocation.
Mm-hmm.
So Estrid's invocation, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. You may have Estrid's invocation enter the battlefield as a copy of any enchantment you control, except it gains. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile this enchantment if you do return to the battlefield under your owner's control. Under its owner's control. So it's just always going to be the best enchantment that you have.
It's weird, like of all the different ways that
Castia was an enchantment.
Yeah, but of all the different ways
Legendary,
to have
though, so that's a bad example.
enchantments, to have something that like copies something else and then can change. I feel like there's some sort of weird edge cases as to why they did it this particular way, that like it exiles itself and brings itself back all the time.
Yeah.
But it does mean that you get a bunch of enchantment ETB effects, which is very solid.
Can we talk about the best card in this entire deck?
Sure.
Which one's that?
The plane that we are currently residing
Oh,
in.
yes, right. Eric's Methes, the Slumbering Isle.
This is the best flavor win
This reminds
in
me...
this whole thing.
This is like a nostalgia hit too, because this reminds me of Island Fish Gisconius, which is like one of these like old bad cards. But I was just like, oh, it's a fish the size of an island. I love it. So Eric's Methes, Slumbering Isle. It's a land that you cast. Bear with me. 2 green, blue. Eric's Methes, Slumbering Isle enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. As long as Eric's Methes has a slumber counter on it, it is a land. Bracket, it is not a creature. So, you pay 2 green blue, and it enters tapped as a land. It taps for green and blue, so you get 2 mana when you tap it. So you just have this land that you had to pay to cast, and it taps for 2 mana.
I mean, that's a mana rock.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right?
Honestly, it's all right. Like I've paid 4 mana for something that taps for 2 mana before, like Hedron Archive. Right?
Yeah.
Whenever you cast a spell, you may remove a slumber counter from Eric's Methes.
Cool.
And once it no longer has the slumber counters on it, then it's a 12/12.
Yeah!
It's a legendary creature, Kraken.
still taps
also,
for
it
land.
still taps for mana. Yeah.
It still taps as a land. That's fine.
This card is
Yeah,
so cool.
the fight between that and Island Fish is not much of a fight.
No, Eric's Methes definitely win. Island Fish Gisconius, by the way, just real quick. I'm not going to get too deep on it. It's 4 blue, blue, blue. It doesn't untap during your untap step. It can't attack if defending player doesn't control an island. If at any time you don't control an island, you sacrifice it, and you can pay blue, blue, blue to untap Island Fish. You can only do that during your upkeep.
But it was a 6/8, which was just like bonkers huge.
Yeah, and it was an Island Fish.
I like how like they really nerfed the creatures. They didn't want them to be too good in formats with like Time Walk.
Yeah. There's a whole city
Yeah.
on this
Oh,
island.
they're gonna get a nasty surprise in 5 turns.
I like that his like its elbow is like sticking out of the water a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, that's also a piece of land. I don't know.
Put a
Let's build
lighthouse
like
on
a
it."
lighthouse on it."
Yeah.
You know, there's somebody on the island being like, "We have to stop casting spells."
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, like that'll ever. Oh yeah, the island's gonna wake up, and it's like, no, guys, seriously.
Just yawns and everything breaks apart.
Yeah, it's very cool. There's so many other really neat cards in this. The cycle that I wanted to talk about, because there's a couple of new mechanics. If
Yeah,
we
let's
can go into
knock
them
the
real quick.
cycle out, and then we'll probably have to wrap it up. We can come back to Commander again if we want.
Yeah. So the cycle is basically, it doesn't have an official name, but it's Commander Storm, basically.
I love it.
So it comes in the form
We
of...
fixed Storm.
Yeah, it comes in the form of Imperial Storm, Echo Storm, Skull Swarm, Fury Storm, and Genesis Storm.
Is it Skull Storm or Skull Swarm?
Skull Storm.
Yeah, oh, it's metal.
But let's talk about Echo Storm, because that was the one that sort of relates to the whole copy artifacts thing that I was talking about. So Echo Storm, for 3 blue blue, as a sorcery, when you cast the spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone in this game. You may choose new targets for that copy. So that's the Commander Storm. portion of it, and it's just create a token that's a copy of target artifact. So this is where, like I said, you can make a single copy of Sculling Dimension.
And like 5 mana for that ability is fine, but 5 mana for that ability twice is really good.
And can you imagine you top deck this late and it's 5 mana for that ability 4 times?
Yeah. Look upon my doom engines.
It's interesting. Like they've been slowly pushing more into the, interacting with the number of times a commander has been cast. Like they did 1 or 2 things in previous commander sets, and now it's, of course, and this is an interesting thing because it's always been like the commanders that you could cheat out without having to do their commander cost were always highly prized, but now maybe not so much.
Yeah. The goofiest one of this cycle is the red one, though. It's hilarious.
Which one's that one?
So this is Fury Storm. 2 red.
Very red.
For a sorcerer, or instant, which is
okay.
pretty key. And it has the Commander Storm thing. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Blech.
So it's Stormfork.
Yeah.
But you can copy multiple. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I just saw suddenly, like, you know how like I visualize things, like when I imagine things, they're very visual, and I just imagined like something forking into 2 and then 4 and then 8 and then me conceding.
Yeah.
I was like, no. And then Cam's like, I'm invincible.
Yeah, this card is just super funny. It kind of gets all over the place.
At least in Commander, there's no chance of them having like more than 1 Fury Storm.
Yeah.
But there's definitely
ways to get it back.
Yeah.
And like again, it's an instant, and it's target instant or sorcery, so you can copy your opponent's big spells if you want to, or what have you.
Let's see the other ones just quickly before we.
Yeah. So there's Genesis Storm.
That was the green
one for 4 green. And it has the Commander Storm thing. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent card. You may put that card onto the battlefield, then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield at the bottom in a random order.
That's really cool.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
That is very even flavor for green. I was going to think you were going to talk about like Peter Gabriel or like maybe.
Imperial Storm is the white one. It's 4 white. It just makes angel tokens 4/4 angels.
Imperial Storm?
Imperial.
With an E.
With an E, sorry.
I think we're actually referencing a Phil Collins.
Oh, we are, yeah.
In
the Air Tonight is Phil Collins.
Yes.
I mean,
he was in Genesis.
Yeah.
People are already going to be putting angry comments about how I don't know what I'm talking about with Alara, but I do know what I'm talking about with Genesis. Okay?
And then finally, the most expensive one.
Wow, look at that art.
Wow.
Storm.
Yeah.
Wow.
7 black for a sorcery.
Scary skeletons.
Yeah.
Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Each opponent who can't loses half their life rounded up.
Oh, you get them.
But this with the storm, like, triggers, right? Like, ugh.
So flavor text, a rapid and catastrophic decline.
So if somebody has no creatures, and this goes on 3 times, you get half.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
That's
40.
That was nice.
20, 10.
Yeah, that was nice 40
5.
life you had right then. 40
to 20, 20 to 10, 10 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for 9 mana, you would hope, but
it does something big. Yeah.
I do feel like we've played Commander on stream a few times, and there is sometimes this problem with like deadlocks and stuff. I feel like they've been working hard on that. There's a lot of cards in here that affect either everybody or 2 people. Like they affect more than 1 person in terms of sort of. So that you can be aggressive without leaving yourself open to the
grudges.
crackback. Yeah. Which is rather than having the solution to that problem being constant board wipes.
Yeah, well, because the issue sometimes with Commander, especially when you're like, there's 4 people, is like you gotta sort of spread it around, which slows the game down. But, you can't like risk making one enemy too quickly, right? Unless you can really get them. But stuff like this, you can really get someone.
Yeah.
You can probably just kill them out of nowhere with a Skull Storm.
Speaking of spreading it around, the Sleeper Agent.
Yes. Xantia Sleeper Agent.
The builder.
Okay, last thing we'll talk about today.
Yeah.
Xantia Sleeper Agent. 1 black-red for a 5/5. Legendary creature, minion. As Xancha enters the battlefield, an opponent of your choice gains control of it.
Well, that doesn't seem very good.
Xancha attacks each combat if able, but cannot attack its owner or planeswalkers its owner controls. So it can't attack you when you cast Xancha, because you're the owner, no matter who the controller is. For 3 mana, Xancha's controller loses 2 life, and you draw a card. Any player may activate this ability. So the you there is relevant. If I'm controlling Kathleen, if
I cast Xancha, and I'm like, here you go,
you give it to
have
me,
a present.
I can pay 3, I lose 2 life, and I draw a card. Kathleen can pay 3, I lose 2 life, and she draws a card. Ben can pay 3, I lose 2 life, and he draws a card.
And every turn she has to attack.
So
and you have to choose somebody other than Kathleen.
So Ben.
yeah, exclusively in our 3-person commander game,
Yeah.
Xancha comes after me.
Yeah.
And
that
Kathleen has plausible deniability on
Yeah,
it.
because
Yeah.
she's not the one doing it.
And it's a 5/5 for 3.
It's like, look, I gave you a perfectly reasonable ability to dome Graham and draw a card. Why would you ever get upset?
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
love
don't know
the
what the
stats
opposite
on
of a
her,
group
too.
hug is, but this, this is group stab.
Yeah.
Group mug.
Yeah, no, this card is super cool. There's a lot of really fun cards like this in that color, like in the Rakdos color combination and stuff like that, that just kind of do these like weird group, everybody gets hurt sort of things. And we're talking about Havoc Festival, for example, from Return to Ravnica, I think it was. That just like everybody loses life.
I just had a
at the
really
end of the
funny
thing.
idea for Friday nights.
Great.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
Well,
there you go.
I'll talk to you guys about that off stream.
Yeah.
Or off podcast.
So, speaking of off podcast, we are going to turn the podcast off because we've been talking about Commander for a long time because we love it so much.
It's a very sweet set. Check
I
it
want
out.
to play with these decks. We haven't actually streamed it yet, have we?
No?
No, we're going. It's in the calendar though.
Good.
For the new Commander
not
decks?
actually
Are we going to be...
Is it out yet?
No.
Oh, well, then I'm... Okay, that's
why
why
we haven't played
I
with the
haven't
deck.
played with it yet. Well, I'm excited.
Are we going to be fighting over the Enchantress deck, Ben?
I mean, I'll play any of them.
I'll play...
I think the I
I'll
think,
Jund them out.
I think the only one I'm not really all that big on is like the Jund one, but like
I'll Jund them.
yeah, but I would play it fine. Like I mean, they're all really fun looking
I'll
decks.
wear my
Yeah.
t-shirt.
And Wizards does a good job designing these decks.
Yeah.
So even if you're like, I prefer to brew my own stuff, like, you know, buy this, try it out, and then make some changes or something.
Yeah,
but
like
it's-
as a
base.
commander brewer for like the streams and stuff we do, what excites me most when commander set precons come out is the other cool things that they include in there.
Yeah.
The last one, the one that they did with like the tribal synergies, they put out like Herald of the Horns and like Herald of the Horn and or Horn of the Heralds, sorry, and like a bunch of other little cool things that just supplement tribal synergies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this has put out a bunch of just cool new legendaries to build around, a bunch of cool just new commander cards in general. I mean, again, we're not talking, but there's like a goal of
Speaking of synergy, you should also check out the North 100 set review
Yeah.
for Commander 2018, where they talk about cards in the new Commander set that might be relevant in Highlander. So check that out as well.
Yeah.
Until next time, a reminder that this show is brought to you by CardKingdom.com. Please check out CardKingdom.com/LRR for all your card and kingly needs. And as well, as always, it's brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Until next time, I'm Graham.
I'm Ben.
That's
I'm-
Ben.
I'm with Kathleen.
That's Kathleen. And thanks for watching. Bye.